Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss Nick and Charlie. This is a book from Alice Alsman. Nice little heartstopper novella as it's referenced. This book is incredible. It came out in ebook format in 2015. This version came out in 2020 when all the other books had their re-release in 2020 with all like the color block covers. So cool. So Nick and Charlie. So Charlie is 17 in this book. Nick is 18 in this book. About to finish Truman. He's so hyped about going to going to university come September, but Charlie's scared because he's not going to have Nick for his last year of school, his last year of high school. And so what happens, right? Now, beginning of this book starts out on the last day of Nick's year 13 group's last full day of school, right? They all basically cut class. They make a giant cardboard fort on a tennis court, and it's High School Musical themed. So they're all in red and white, and Harry's running around in a Wildcat cheerleader uniform, you know, joking around with Charlie, joking around with Nick, taking a cute picture of them. Charlie references that, yes, he has not forgiven Harry for what he did back in the day, but, because this is, you know, 2 years, 3 years later, 2 years later, but it's not a matter of forgiveness, it's a matter of Harry's trying. So he admits his fault, he admits his wrongdoing, and he's trying to keep the friends all together for the last, you know, hurrah of school, which I think is neat in a character development standpoint, because not all people can change. It's the age-old adapt or die, and Harry realizes that he did some terrible things, and he apologized for it at the Paris trip, and it's okay not for Charlie or Nick to forgive him, but they still acknowledge that, you know, he is trying and he is a part of their friend group, even though he's not. But, like, they all hang out together anyway at his massive parties, so it's a thing. Anyway, that's why I'm wearing my High School Musical garb. This shirt is old. This is from Disney Hollywood Studios circa 2008. Back in 2008, it was called MGM Studios. So this is how old this shirt actually is. I only break this out for the special occasions when we're either A, talking about High School Musical, or B, talking about High School Musical. And seeing at the beginning of this book literally has Nick in a Wildcat outfit and Harry in a Wildcat cheerleader outfit. We're talking about High School Musical. I painted this out years ago. Like, bro, Wildcat forever. So with Nick and Charlie, you know, being this soulmate couple that everybody sees, everybody just references them as, oh, it's Nick and Charlie. Yeah, but you're Nick and Charlie. So, like, they hang out every day. They sleep over on weekdays, you know, unheard of. Couples don't do that. So, like, it's just diving into what the last 2 years of them have been, you know, the first kisses, the first, you know, doing this, first doing that, first time them sleeping together, how terrified and scared they both were, but they were together, and that's all that mattered. And, you know, they did wind up enjoying it as the time had gone on. But it was neat seeing the difference, because we're introduced to these characters, you know, 15, 16 years old, and then to see this time difference of what's going on as well. The growth, the development of the character, but also the development of the person in general. I was going to say human. They're not actually real human, even though we have Joe Locke and Kate Connor playing them. Charlie and Nick are fictitious characters. So it's neat seeing this happy couple, but there's a massive fight within this book, because at Harry's end of the school year party, Charlie is terrified of being alone, and he recently finds out that Tao and Elle broke up because they don't want to try to give long distance a try, because it's going to be very difficult for Elle going to uni. And Charlie feels that Nick wants to break up with him just because he talks about university all the time. So Charlie gets drunk and starts yelling at Nick, and they yell at each other, and then there's a fight, and they don't talk to each other for 2 weeks, and it's just moping, and he broke up with me, and he broke up with me, but nobody broke up with each other. It was just yelling. So the whole thing, though, revolving around Nick had a disposable camera with him the last day of school. Charlie took it, took a cute picture of them. I'm sorry, Harry took it, took a cute picture of them. Nick was taking other pictures as well. Took some pictures of Charlie sleeping, you know, in his bed, things. And so he lost the camera, and he didn't know what happened to it. He also broke his phone recently, so he can't get, like, picture messages, can barely get any texts to begin with. So where'd the camera go, and what happens next, right? So we have a lot of Charlie and Tori conversations in this. Tori eventually finds the camera buried in the couch cushions in their living room, in their lounge, as they say. And so Charlie develops the pictures, finds one of him sleeping in Nick's bed with like the orange street lamp. Beautiful, romantic, gorgeous. I get choked up every time I think about it, of the simplicity of capturing the moment with the person you're in love with. It's just so, it's so surreal, but it's neat because it happens. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens. And to see Nick and Charlie being the soulmates that Aled always, has preached about, so cool. So Charlie realizes he has to talk to Nick after Tori kind of forces him, and so writes on the back of the picture, Tori, Charlie, and they get a ride from her friend Becky. Tori and Becky are on good terms now. I want to know that story. I want to know how they got on good terms again after the fire at Higgs, which was mentioned. I was hoping it was mentioned. It did mention. Going back to the Solitaire book. So they drop the letter off, drop the picture off. Nick's mom brings it to him. They both get so excited realizing it's from Charlie, and then he reads it, and then they meet up the day after at Ollie's school because it was like a summer feat or something like that. And so they talk. They have a heart-to-heart. Charlie expresses how scared he is, of Nick leaving. Nick realizing that Charlie is his favorite person. He has absolutely no need nor desire to break up with him. He loves him immensely. He loves him more than anyone. And then Charlie jokes and says, "Oh, you love me more than your dogs?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's not go that far." But like they have a cute little hookup at the end, building up to the sleeping together, but then the post-sex selfie, which was hysterical moment. Just the two teens being teens, the 17 and 18-year-old respectively, dealing with the fact that this is their last summer together until he's back from uni for next year. And it's just cute, realizing that they are both weird, and they are both obsessed with each other, and they've been this way for over 2 years. And the fact that they're still this way shows a true testament to the soulmate aspect that the two of them pretend they don't agree to, but realize that they are meant for each other. It's just been, everybody knows it, everybody roots for them, everybody knows Nick and Charlie. And another thing that I found very interesting was when they were leaving school, like right in the beginning of the book, Harry texts Charlie to ask Nick if they're going to go to his party that night, the next night. And Harry knows to text Charlie to get Nick's attention because Nick is terrible at responding to texts, and he's also driving. So like I thought that was neat, that again throwing the character development into Charlie, into Harry, just having a quick conversation with Charlie in regards to the decision of, will the two of them, not just Nick, will the two of them be at Harry's party that day, that night, after Harry's crying his eyes out that it's the last day of school. Harry had such a great character arc within this book, within this series, going from a horrible homophobic bully to trying to make amends to keeping up making the amends. We learn, and that's the point. Adapt or die. And Harry chose to live. He chose to realize his faults and continue on trying to make good. So I have questions, though, in regards to this book. We have no reference of Lucas Ryan, no reference of Michael Holden, right? Becky's referenced. Tori's still drinking her diet lemonade. But Lucas, Michael, and Tori are all in next year. They're all in year 13. So, like, that's it. They're all done. So, like, what were all of they doing? Were they actually at Harry's party? Who knows, right? So, because Tori was at Harry's party as well. So I want to know what happens to them moving forward. I also want to know what happened to Ben, right? Like, he's just a terrible, terrible person within Solitaire, within Heartstopper. What happened to Ben? Like, does Becky have nothing to do with him anymore? Did he move away? No reference, nothing. So I want more. I want a future book. I want 4 years after uni. Did they move into an apartment together? Did they get a shack by the beach? What happens? I want to know what happens to Nick and Charlie in the future. I hope that we get a future book for a future wedding book. That would be so cool, having the Truman Higgs reunion going on, having a neat wedding vow thing. Charlie's all stressed about trying to figure out what he's going to say in his vows because he's been with Nick since he was 15, been in love with him since he's 14, dating since they're 15 technically, since he's 15 technically. So there's so much potential So much potential when you read a soulmate story for when their characters are so young. So much happens in between. So I'm very curious what happens in Heartstopper Volume 5, because all Nick and Charlie is after high school, basically. And Solitaire was right after, in between the moments of Volume 4. I'm going to read Radio Silence next. I Was Born for This, and then Loveless. I know Aled's in Radio Silence. I don't know about the other two. But, yeah. On to the next book. On to the next review. The Alice Osman universe. The Osman verse. Can just keep expanding, and I will read every single thing that she produces. This incredible talent that she has is just, that they have, is just absolutely incredible. Incredible, incredible, incredible. I can't say incredible enough. Thank you, Alice, for everything you've given us. Thank you for everything you've done. I've cried reading your books. I've cried watching your show. I can't wait to see what I cry to next, viewers. Mucho mahalo.